if you did 100 deals a year, you'll work half as much as if you did 20.
Oh my goodness. Welcome everyone to the community here with eXp Realty. I am so glad that you are joining us today because we have one of the top speakers in the country, one of the top coaches and production experts, and also one of my very dear friends. Lexi and I love this guy and his wife. They're just absolutely amazing people. We got to hang out with them a ton out in Puerto Rico at their beautiful home up on a cliff, guys, overlooking the ocean. These guys are incredible. And Knolly, for those of you who don't know enough about who this is, because I want to get out of the way so we get some of the juice here today. But Knolly was the #1 listing agent in Austin, Texas. Sold on average took on average over 100 listings per year for 10 freaking years, guys. This is like not an accident, right? This was not a one and done. This is I did it and I did it and I did it. That's amazing. And today he's going to be talking with us about how does that work? How do you build that level of magic and mastery into one person? And by the way, he also rocks the sickest cowboy hat look I've ever seen in my life. So ladies and gentlemen, the cowboy of real estate, I want to bring him up on stage here. One of my very dear friends, Knolly Williams. What's up, my man? How are you
What's
doing?
up, my man? Hey, can you believe this? I got an email this morning. This lady was asking for my headshot for a media thing. She says, "Do you have one without the cowboy hat?" I'm like, "I don't think I do." Like
Yeah.
I've worn this thing for 30 plus years. So, hey,
Oh,
man,
that's
good to see
hilarious.
you, brother. Look,
You
I
too.
obviously love you and Lexi and happy to be, hanging out with your family.
Well, it's our honor. It's our honor. And I know you've got some guests here today as well. So I'm going to get out of the way. I know you've got screen share stuff that you can do. Let me make sure I've got that all turned on for you. And then we'll just pepper back and forth. But I know everyone's here today to grab some of that Nolly magic. And so I don't want to choke hold that thing any longer. So let me get out of the way and leave it to you. All right.
Yeah, and I see a couple of things. By the way, I'm traveling right now as I normally do. I'm at a friend's house, thus the cute family photos. You guys
Yeah,
see
yeah,
those?
yeah. We got that
So
going on too. I'm here in Colorado and we're at Lexi's son's house. So everybody's bouncing around. It's good stuff.
I'm not blurring my background like yours because I like to rock my little backgrounds. So sometimes they're messy though, but today
Hold
it's
on, hold on, hold on. I'll show you. Hold on. Portrait. There we go. Yeah, I'm in the basement, y'all.
oh, that's what's
This
up. I
is
like
not
that.
fancy.
I remember hanging out at my dad's when I would hang out with dad in his basement. In fact, let me shut this door
You
because we're,
bet.
we're about to get loud up in here. You
Let's
heard?
do it. Let's do it. So really quickly, while Nolly's shutting that door, you guys go ahead and kick me a list. I want to know from everybody on this call, what's the most listings you ever took in one single year? Just from everyone. I know we got some ballers on here. I know we got, some people who've knocked out some serious numbers. I see Jesse Halfley up on the call. 25, Raymond. Good night, nurse. Come on, man. That's good stuff. I just repeated your number. That's not for me. 50 for Joanne. Holy moly. 17, Amber. Get it. Scott over 100. Come on, man. That's incredible. I know Lexi did 90, 92 or something like that. 153. Nolly, come on, man. Storming the castle. Tyler 23. Jeez Louise. All right, so we got some good players on here, but we have room for improvement because I didn't see anybody else put 153 Nolly. So we
Well, I
got
mean,
we got to get it going.
yeah, and the cool thing is it's not a competition. I mean, we have an audience of one, and that's God Almighty. And really, we're in competition with ourselves. That's to become our ultimate greatness.
That's beautiful.
And I learned that the hard way. I tell you that. I
Yeah.
got humbled. Anybody ever been humbled? I got humbled with a foreclosure. I got humbled with bankruptcy, and I got humbled with other things. So we'll talk about that. I've had some failings in life, but I'm going to share my screen. Thank you so much. We have really been trying to get this going for a while, haven't we, Jeff? We've been trying to make
Oh,
this
heck
happen,
yeah.
man. So I'm super excited to be here. This is all about having success with listings. And by the way, I noticed that my screen is flickering a little bit. It might be a sign. I don't know if you can see that.
No, it looks great over here.
Oh, it looks great over there. Okay, I was going to say it looked like a sign that I might need a new computer, and I was hopeful for that because I always need those excuses
Oh,
for
you just
why.
got to talk to Josie, man.
Time to upgrade. Yeah. So how to get more listings in today's emerging market. And I got to tell you something. I had a gal reach out to me yesterday, one of our coaching club members, and she was like, Nolly, it's a buyer's market right now. I said, duh, it's been a buyer's market for a while. But the reality is when listings, when it's a seller's market, listings. When it's a buyer's market, listings is the game. And a lot of times we just don't, it takes us a while sometimes to really realize the game we're in. And even though we might believe we're in the real estate game, it really is the listing game. Those that list not only last, the cliche, but the reality is you control the market. You actually are at the forefront of what the market is. So obviously you're here to get more listings. I want to thank you for your time. There's a lot of places you could be here on a Wednesday, but you chose to hang out with Jeff and Lexi and me and the rest of the community family. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. So what are we going to learn? There's three main things that I want to teach today. Number one, I want to teach you the three lead buckets where all the listing leads that you ever need are going to come from. By the way, if you've got a question, throw it in the chat. I'm going to try to leave at least 30 to 40 minutes just for Q&A, okay? Because there's going to be questions that arise as you take this training. And my vision for you is that when you leave today, you're gonna, even if you're brand new in the business or you've been in the business for a while, you're gonna leave with some really actionable tips, tricks, and strategies that you can implement immediately. So the three lead buckets, we'll talk about the 8 key sources for listing leads in today's market. And we're also gonna go into the 5 actions to take right now to upgrade your success with listings. And then, of course, we'll get into Q&A. So just a real brief about me. 96% of my focus when I first got into real estate was listings. I got into real estate after a successful career that I started at the age of 22 in the music business. I was doing Christian rap, believe it or not. And I was rocking the cowboy hat by about age 26, I believe, about 27. And I became, our record label became the #1 Christian record label in the genre. And we had 18 artists. We were making over $150,000 a month. Okay, 150 grand a month. We had 14 employees, 18 artists. We had a sort of like a compound. We had a 6,000 square foot house on 10 acres in Texas, right outside of Austin. And we had a recording studio on the property. We had a office building as well on the property for all my staff that came in every day. And it was really like living the dream. I mean, it was so fun. Started that in my early 20s. By the time I was 29, we got a big record deal with EMI Capital. And they gave us an advance of over $500,000, 650,000 that, and for a 29-year-old to get a $650,000 check, that's who does that? Who gives 29-year-olds that kind of money? Well, we know that in some arenas that happens. And so I made some poor decisions. And what I didn't realize was that poor decisions financially, I should say. What I didn't realize was that the industry was going to tank. Okay, just a few years. I became a millionaire at the age of 29. I made $2 million that year and was making over 150 grand a month. And three or 4 years later, I was pretty much broke. Okay, my house was in foreclosure and I was sinking fast. Okay. And it was like, what am I going to do now? I had my tail between my legs, my first failed business. And like many of you, I became an entrepreneur at the age of 12. And I was like, man, I spent all this time. I'm 33. I'm already an old man. This is what I was telling myself. I'm already old. What am I going to do? I thought I was going to do this for the rest of my life. And I had a sister-in-law that was like, you'd probably be good at real estate. We had just sold the big property through the skin of our teeth. We actually were able to sell it while it was in foreclosure. And things actually got so bad at that time that I was making my mortgage payment with an American Express card, okay, that I borrowed from my sister-in-law. That's back when they let you pay your mortgage with a credit card. You can't do that anymore. That's back in the 90s. So when I got in the game, I learned that listings is the game. And I read a book that said that all of your effort should be on listings. And so that's what I did. My very first transaction was a listing. My very first deal was a listing. And I see a lot of agents that get into business and they wait. They start with buyers, they start with, and they get to listing, they graduate, so quote unquote. And that wasn't my approach. I jumped right in, hook, line, and sinker. By my fourth year in real estate, I was the number one real estate agent in Austin based on production. That was ranked by the Austin Business Journal. They came out with the list that year, and it was my fourth full year that I had been in real estate. And I did 96 transactions through the MLS. I actually did over 100 deals, but through the MLS, I did 96, which was more than any other agent in the city as a solo agent. And so what I want to share today really is how did I do it? Okay, how did I do it? Whether you want to become number one in your market or you just want an additional listing a month. Let me talk to you about this a minute. Now, this real talk we're going to do right here. Okay, real talk. What would one additional listing, okay, do for your business? Just throw it in the chat. Like for your life, I'm talking about an additional 15 to 20,000 a month. Just one additional. Okay, we're not talking about 10 a month. Additional, just one a month. What would an additional 15 to 20K per month do for you and your family? I want to see it in the chat. Let me see. Somebody says I did 3 my first year and 3 this year. Okay. All right. Let me see. Let me see. Da, da, da. You know what? I need to put on my glasses.
No,
How,
Nolly, I see somebody said transformative wealth. I'll say for
yeah,
myself, man, just provide some extra lift, right? Like, you've got it going on. It gives you that consistency. I see somebody say pay the mortgage. Somebody said, gosh, so much. Lead to
yeah,
a new investment property every year. Security for
yeah,
my
yeah.
family, debt-free
I love
life.
it. And it's interesting, Jeff, because a lot of times in my classes, I teach high volume because that's the only way that I knew how to run my business. I'm high on the SC scale, so I think like an engineer. And so when I reverse engineered this business, I'm very, very systems oriented. And so in fact, when I got my real estate license, I got my license in June and I did not start practicing until December. Number one, I was scared. Okay, number one. But number two, I really wanted to learn the game. And I kept hearing over and over from seasoned agents, we learned from those that lived before us that listings was the game. And so I took it real serious. So I see someone else says, man, Jeff, you are on it, man. I'm gonna let you handle the chat.
I
So
got you,
somebody,
man.
Emily says, hey, it would just be more fun. Simona says money to travel and be debt free. I love it. So 96% of my focus has been on listings, 1,000 listings taken my first 10 years. Now I'm really dedicated to paying it forward and giving back. And I got to tell you, when I joined EXP, I was able to retire from real estate sales within 3 years with our incredible revenue share program. I know we're not here to learn that today, but I got to tell you, it's like if somebody says, hey, if you had $10 million in the bank and you didn't have to work another day in your life, what would you do? And that's how my life has been like since really almost since joining EXP. So it's been incredible, but it didn't always start that way. I've had a lot of success, but when I was a little kid, this is Uncle Nolly as a boy. That's me on the left. Okay. I know it's hard to tell us apart. My sister and I, we're only 9 months apart, but I was a very happy kid, but I was also an abused kid. Okay. I was abused as a kid. My first so many years of upbringing, and some of you guys can identify with this. I was mentally, emotionally, and physically abused. It was 7 when my mom and dad separated, and my mom was very, very, very bitter. She was a very bitter woman. She hated dad. I looked just like him. In fact, I got the same name as dad. Jeff, you probably don't know this. My name is Knolly Alexander Williams Jr. So every time my mom would see me, she would see him, and she hated him, at that time. And so she would, just slap me across the room and say, boy, you disgust me. You look just like your father. I hate you. I'm sorry I ever had you. And this was my upbringing from about the age of 6, 7 years old. It was very sad till about when I was about 16. And when I was 16, I'd had enough. I don't know if you've ever been, anybody that's ever been in an abusive situation. Sometimes there comes a point where you're just like, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. And so that happened for me when I was 16. I left home, ran away, and never went back. Okay, I never went back. I see a lot of these kids nowadays, and I'm not knocking on it. I'm just saying I see them, they still live with mom and dad. That's cool at 30, okay. Mom and dad is still helping them out with car payments and stuff like that. Look, since I left home at 16, my mom has sent me $100. Okay. And that's when I got married 33 years ago. She sent me $100. And that was, I think, so she could have relief because she boycotted the wedding. Okay. She didn't go. And so now mom is cool. We reconciled at age 18. In fact, this is me right after I reconciled with mom, put a Bible in my hand, got a song in my heart, found Jesus, okay, got right. And the relationship with mom got tight, and I forgave her, which I had to do to set myself free. This is me at age, I think I was 19 in this picture. But I set myself free through the act of forgiveness. If you got somebody that's wronged you, that's hurt you, maybe it's the person that was supposed to look after you when, to bring you up, and you haven't taken care of the big job of forgiveness. I recommend the book Letting Go by Dr. David Hawkins. Great book. And it really is all about setting yourself free. So, the reason I bring all this up, I never completed past ninth grade. Okay. I dropped out of high school, got my GED, went to college and dropped out of college. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you is that what I'm teaching you is there's nothing special about me. Okay. Now we're all special in God's eyes, but I'm saying there's nothing that makes me able to do this, where you can't do it. And the reason I even say that is because I see a lot of people that's like, man, that's Knolly Williams. Of course he can do that. Well, no, I was the shyest kid in school. When I was 7 years old and on, I had a speech impediment to where people could not even understand. I couldn't articulate words. People couldn't understand what I was saying. So I was in speech therapy for years just to be able to speak like a normal kid. Okay. And now I'm on stages speaking. So it doesn't matter what you've been through, where you've been, God can use you. And this is me just 10 years after that picture on the previous slide. I had already become a millionaire. Okay. And here's the thing. I went from believing that I was worthless, that I would never amount to anything, to actually believing that I was very worthwhile, that my life did matter, that I was a child of God, and that that I was here for a purpose. I was not a mistake. Okay. I began to believe something different and actually began to have different results. A lot of times the results that you have are really a extension of your beliefs, because your beliefs, write this down, your beliefs, what they do is they transform into your habits. So what you believe becomes what you do. It becomes your habits. Okay. And when you have certain habits, it basically controls everything you have. So whether you have the 5 listings a month, 10 listings a month, or no listings, that is all going to be rooted in what you believe. Okay. And so when we start to change that, everything else changes. Now, my past has really uniquely prepared me to serve others today. I do average 5-star reviews on Google. I do encourage any of you that if you want to review me after this class, don't do it now because you haven't gotten the goodies, but after this class, you can say, hey, this is how I feel about Uncle Knolly. The only reason I even show this is because it's very difficult. Jeff knows this. It's very difficult for a person in my position who's a coach, okay? Because you guys know you've paid money to coaches, right? I know you have. You've bought this program, or you subscribed to that, or you paid for this. And sometimes these people turn out to be absolute flakes. And I've got over 244 reviews there on Google with 5-star average. And that's very important. I do this because I love to serve. My mission is actually to inspire you to become all that God created you to be so that you can live the life that you were meant to live. I believe that there are some of you on this training right now that are not living up to the full potentiality that you have within you. And we want to really shake it out. Okay. I want to shake this out for you. So Proverbs 10:22 says that the blessing of the Lord brings wealth without painful toil for it. Okay. And if you see yourself getting wealthy, gaining, doing this business, and you're struggling, you're on your hustle, you're on your grind. I got to tell you, there's a place for the hustle and grind. Let me say it again. There's a place for the hustle and grind, but it should evolve into ease and flow. Ease and flow. You know, when you're building a house, yes, there's going to be a lot of activity. People are swinging hammers. You know, the sheetrock is going up. Things are happening in that house. That's a lot of hustle and grind, and it might be that way for 6 months or 9 months, but eventually you should be able to move into the house and live in the house and be at peace, and things should be in ease and flow for you. The New Living Translation says it this way. It says, the blessing of the Lord makes a person rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. I see a lot of people getting rich in this business, but they have a lot of sorrow. Their families are breaking up. Their marriages are breaking up. Their kids don't spend time with them. And that's not going to be the case for you. You look at Richard Anderson. You know, he attended a class just like this one. He was one of 6 agents interviewed for a listing. Okay. And that was a week after the class. Okay. Just like the class that you're in right now. And he got a $539,000 listing. Now, with Richard Anderson, get this, that was his first listing ever. And it was his first deal. He was brand new. He had never worked with a buyer, never worked with a seller. He went up against 6 other agents and got the deal because of the training. He went to one training class. Now he's a coaching club member, but he went to one training class. And so I got to tell you, it happened for him. It's going to happen, I believe, for you. I believe that there really are 3 types of freedom. This is the kind of freedom that Jeff and Lexi are living, and it's the kind of freedom that I live, and it's the kind of freedom that you can have as well. Anybody can have access to this. It's financial freedom, time freedom. Okay, financial freedom, being able to, live within your means, have more income than you require. Time freedom is really about being able to set your own schedule. Okay, Jeff and I went back and forth on this class because the schedule just didn't jive, but now the schedule's right. Even though I'm traveling today, it's all good. I've got 6 or 7 events that I'm doing within the next week. And, I got to say, God bless Zoom, right? Because I don't have to get on planes like I used to, right? So, and then location freedom. Today I'm in Austin, Texas. Next week, I'm going to be back in Puerto Rico. A few weeks after that, God knows. Okay. So if you want all 3 of these types of freedom, throw it in the chat. Let me know that that's you, that you want this kind of freedom. And if so, we'll keep going. Let me see who wants this. All right.
You guys put that in the chat. If you want time, location, and financial freedom.
Or you can throw me a reaction. Give me a thumb up. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Somebody says absolutely, and I'll do whatever it takes. That's what's up. Ooh. I love that. So here's you inside of your business. Yes. I see Bree says yes. Stefan says yes, and yes. So this is you inside of your business. And the thing is, a lot of times when you're inside your business this way, it can be like a maze. Should I go left? Should I go right? Which way should I turn? You really don't know which way to go. And some of you are identifying with that, but the reality is when you get in a drone, when you get in a helicopter and you rise above your business and start working on it instead of in it, things look different. Okay. And you can really easily navigate. When you're in the maze, you don't even know whether you should go right or left. But when you're above the maze, you can really navigate it perfectly. And that's what this training today is about. It's really about you working on your business, not in your business. Now, hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, rise above it. Rise above it. So, Mina, same thing. She joined me, and what happened with Mina, she had not had a closing in 8 months. Has any of you and I don't even you don't even throw it in the chat if you have, because we don't even want to relive this kind of past. But have you ever gone 8 months without a closing? Like 8 months without a paycheck? Mina did. She was very frustrated. And she was a showing assistant. Finally, she became a showing assistant, doing Showami type stuff just to make ends meet, just to make a little money. And I started teaching her the concepts that you're learning today. And after learning this material, she made $250,000 within 12 months. Okay. So somebody says went 6 months. That's hard. That's hard to do. In fact, after this class, you guys are going to be gifted the 5-week crash course. I have a training course that I did called Success with Listings 5 Week. crash course. It's 5 hours of training because there is no way that we're going to be able to get through all this material in an hour and a half. It's just not going to happen. So I got 5 more hours, and I'll show you. You guys can unlock that and access it after the class. So don't worry. I know a lot of you guys are like, man, this is, you're taking notes and you think you're going to get left behind, but don't worry. You're going to have homework. Okay. So my goal is I want you to earn $250,000 or more a year while working 3 hours a day. I'm just going to tell you out front. That's what it is. Okay. And how many of you would like this kind of life? You can throw a thumb up in the reaction or throw it in the chat. Earn $250,000 or more a year, having nights and weekends off, taking 4 to 5 vacations a year, being completely debt free, and working 3 hours a day. Well, that's not only the life you desire, but it's also the life you deserve. I got to tell you. And this is the listings life. Let me say it again. This is the listings lifestyle. All right. Because on a listing, even though there's 46 steps on a listing, step number 1 is to generate the lead. Step number 40, you close the transaction. Actually, step 11 is going on the listing appointment. And then there's 6 steps that actually happen after the closing. But the reality is, when it comes to income producing activities, there's only 2. There's only 2. Let me say it. There's only 2. Generate the lead, go on the appointment. Okay. Generate leads. If all you did was generate leads and go on appointments, you'd be rich. If you didn't do any of it, even if you never checked email, okay? Because I got to tell you, there is a way to delegate all that. I've got a masterclass coming up soon that I'm going to be teaching all about how to delegate and how to get all the stuff off your plate. So there's really only 2 things that you have to do in my real estate career. That's what I do. I generate the lead. I go on the appointment. A lot of my appointments now are through Zoom. I've got one this afternoon, and I secure the deal. And then I have other people that do everything else. That's the ultimate goal. Okay. And you're not going to get there overnight, but that's ultimately where I want to see you. So I focus on helping really 3 different kinds of agents. And I see, let me see, I got somebody says, got to implement. I love that. Tammy says, how do you get access to the master class? And that's part of the coaching club. I'll talk about that later. I'll briefly mention that. You guys are going to get free access to the coaching club for a full week. So those of you that want to take advantage of that, but I do master classes all the time on different topics that are listing related. I'm sure okay. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So Jet, I got Super Steve in the house. All right. What's up, Super Steve? He's helping me out. All right. So there's really 3 kinds of agents that I like to help. And I want to see if you identify yourself anywhere within this. Okay. Number 1 is going to be a newbie Ned. So Ned's in his first few years of business and not quite meeting his goals. So Ned needs to get his feet under him and is confused about what to do to generate steady business. So when you look at a newbie Ned, their biggest problem is always going to be what? Knolly, what do I do? What do I do first? What do I do? Because newbie Neds know that success comes by doing the right things in the right order. Okay. You start doing step 12 when you should have started with step 1. Doesn't work. Have you ever thought about going to 5th grade before you attended kindergarten? How many of you did that? Some of you on this training right now, maybe you went to 7th grade before you went to 3rd. Anybody here did that? I didn't. All right. The reality is you have to do the right things in the right order if you want to see the results. So newbie Ned has a what problem, but how about coaching Crystal? Well, Crystal's been in business for some time. She's gained a pretty loyal clientele and is coaching at what I call a semi-steady business. Okay. But what Crystal needs is to maximize her impact and income to move from feast or famine mode, and is confused about how to do this. Okay. So Crystal, here's her problem. How? Knolly, man, I know what to do. Knolly, I've been in business 4 years, man. I know what to do. I already know what to do. How do I do it? How do I do it? Give me the how. Okay. And finally, we got Rockstar Rick. Now, I know we got some Rockstar Ricks in the house. Rick's on fire. He's making good money and is looking for ways to grow his personal and business life and brand while working less. Okay. So Rick desires to grow, and his biggest issue is knowing who to hire or partner with so that he can grow to his ultimate potential. These are the 3 kinds of real estate agents that I'd like to help. I ran into a rock star Rick that actually happened to be, a woman. Okay. And this rock star was like, she did 100. She was the #1 real estate agent in her office. Okay. in her office, over 400 agents. She was number one. I said, how much are you working? You know what she told me? Knolly, I'm working all the time. I said, well, let's change that, okay? Because you got a who problem, all right? So which one do you identify? Are you newbie Ned? Are you coasting Crystal? Are you rockstar Rick? Let me see in the chat if I got any. Now, if you don't identify with any of these, we might have a problem, all right? So you may not need this class, all right? So we got Crystal in the house. What's up, Joanne? I see you. We got Stephanie's newbie Ned, all right? We got Raymond's Rick. Rick is in the house. I like Rick, boy. Rick. Hey, sometimes the Ricks don't like to say, "Hey, I'm Rockstar Rick." See, a lot Rockstar Ricks, they don't like to raise their hand sometimes because they feel humbled in a group. But I like when they do. Christine says, "Yeah, how and who." Amanda says, "Newbie Ned." By the way, Amanda, let me give you a secret right here. Don't go advertising to people that you're brand new in the business. Let me tell you, you're in with family right now. But I got to tell you, outside of us, nobody cares. Hey, I'm brand new in the business. Can I practice on your house? What? Get out of here with that. Nobody cares. All right. So don't go advertising it. In fact, I'm going to give you a tip, Amanda. When I first got my business cards, when my very first business card, you know what my job title was, my job description, or not description, but my job title was listing specialist. The first batch of business cards that I ever produced said listing specialist. Now, I didn't say I was a mega listing agent. I didn't say top this or top that, mega anything. I just said, hey, I'm a listing specialist. Can't you decide what you want to specialize in? Of course you can. Okay. And I just decided to specialize. By the way, I've never done one. I'm brand new, never done one, but I never told them that. I just said, hey, I'm Knolly Williams. I'm a listing specialist, and here's what I'm going to do to sell your home. Nobody ever asked me how long I've been in the business. It's phenomenal. Okay. Okay, we got Crystal. Oh, we got a real Crystal that's a coasting Crystal. That has to be a first. What's up, Crystal? Crystal is in the house. You got to unmute and say hi. What's up, Crystal? We got a real coasting Crystal here, y'all. I'm so
What's
excited.
up?
What's up,
Hello.
Crystal? All right, we're going to help you today. Crystal Whitworth in the house. All right. All right, let me keep going. I can name. I see some other coasting crystals. Yeah, listing specialist. That's what's up. You guys are going to, you don't think it's crazy now. All right, so when you look at Angela and Tex Fleming, okay, look at them for a minute. So when they came to me, they had been in the business for a little while, but they had nothing on the books. Have you ever had a time when you had nothing on the books? I mean, like you don't have a pending, you don't have an active. When you look back at the board, that board, that board you're supposed to have in your office, you look back at it and you see it's blank. Well, that's where they were when they joined. And what they did was here's how it went. Their first 30 days. She says, okay, numbers for the day. Spoke to 4 FISBOs. Appointments set for 2. Appointments this Friday. Appointment this Saturday. Both of these are frustrated and said that they're going they are to list. They're going to list. Sent out 3 listing agreements today for signatures. One of those listings we have a buyer for already. This was a month after. Okay, the training and stuff like that. So, and they actually joined the coaching club. But this is and look at this. On January 22nd, 5th listing agreement just signed for the month of January. Okay. So you can go from broke to baller. So don't think that this is just reserved for the Flemings. This is for you as well. Okay. Let's get into what they learned. First of all, there's 3 buckets where all the listing leads that you ever need are going to come from. Okay, we're not going to deep dive into it because I want to leave a lot of time for Q&A, but I'm going to give you the basics that you need to walk away with. Okay, the basics of this. If you focus on the 3 lead buckets, all your listing dreams will come true. When I look back at all the listings I've taken, there's about 27 lead sources that those listings come from. And I do teach all the 27 lead sources. I'm going to give you 8 good ones today. But the truth is all of those lead sources really dwindle down to 3 buckets. Okay. So what are they? All right. Let's remove the mystery. And I'm going to show you what mega agents are doing. I'm going to show you behind the curtain. You're going to be like in the land of Oz right now. Okay. So essentially when you see a mega agent, they're tapping 3 buckets. they're tapping their sphere of influence, they're tapping their geographic farm, and they've got some kind of a niche, a specialty, okay, that they specialize in. And from these three buckets, you're going to generate all the listing leads that you ever need. It's an absolute fact just from those buckets. So let's talk about them briefly. First of all, the first bucket is your sphere of influence. Okay. I use what I call an 18 touch campaign. It almost doesn't matter what you use, but you have to be consistent. I call it the KISS method. KIS. No, not keep it soup. What? So who said that? Keep it simple, stupid. No. All right. Keep it super simple. Or my favorite, keep it simple, sweetheart. All right. Let's keep it nice. All right. The thing is, I call it 2 glasses of wine simple. I just had my second glass of wine and I can still understand what he's saying. Now, why does it have to be 2 glasses of wine simple? I'm going to tell you, because if it's not simple, Uncle Knolly already knows. I've been coaching agents for a long time. If it ain't simple, you won't do it. All right. So it's got to be drop dead simple. And this is, okay, you got a monthly e-newsletter goes out every single month. Who's doing that? Not you. Okay. Who's doing that, Knolly? Not you. Okay. That's the simple answer. Either you have a service that set it and forget it, or you have a VA, somebody else is doing that for you. So that's a monthly e-newsletter, a quarterly mailing to your top 200, and you're going to have a semi-annual call. Actually, the quarterly mailing can go to your whole list, but then the phone call is only to your top 200. Okay, so let me clarify. If you've got a database of 500 people and you've got their mailing addresses, you might have to have a VA go, call and get all the mailing addresses. Then that's 500 postcards going out. Now, if you think about this for a minute, I'm going to show you how to do all this for free. Okay, anybody like that's my favorite 4-letter word, free, Free. So the monthly e-newsletter is free. Okay, you got somebody does that for you, you do it, you hire a service, it might be 10, 15, 20 bucks a month. So that's I say low to no cost. Okay, let's keep it low. Quarterly mailing. Okay, so when you send out those postcards, you're looking at say 50 cents per card. All right, and let's say your mailing list is 500 people. No, let's say it's at 50 cents a card. Let's just say it's 500. So that's $250, 250 bucks. Plus to print the postcards, another $50. So that's $300. Now you go to 4 trades. How many? 4. You go to a carpet cleaner, a home cleaner, a painter, okay, and one other trade, could be a landscaper or whatever. And you say, hey, would you like to go on the back of my postcard? And it's to the 500 people that love me, okay, that think the world of me. And now they're going to think the world of you. I'm recommending you as my preferred painter. How would you like to do that? Well, heck yeah, I'd like to do. It's 75 bucks. Okay. Now, by the way, I know what it costs to do a paint job. I just painted the inside of my house. I had the inside of our home painted, some outside of our house painted in Puerto Rico. I know how much these painters get. Okay. $75 is nothing. Okay, for them to partner with you. Now you've got the postcards paid for, and then the semi-annual call, that's 200, the top 200 people in your list, your A list, okay? And we all know that there's an A, B, C, and D list. We got our A people, our B, and our C and our D. And we all know that D stands for delete. Yeah, you got people in your database you need to get rid of, right? So the reality is calling those 200 people twice a year, if you did it, it's every 6 months, you would be making 2 phone calls a day, talking about during business hours, business days. So about 2 phone calls a day. The newsletter goes out, the postcard. That's not going to take you more than an hour a week to implement this program. An hour a week, 1 hour. Okay. Who's got time to do that? Everybody. You do. Yes, you do. Maybe you can throw a Christmas card or New Year's card in there as well. That's fine. Okay. Now, I know some of you guys are like, man, Nolly's going too fast. Maybe some of y'all think I'm going too slow. That's okay too. But we're going to share the slides with you, so don't worry about it. Okay. Why are you worried? Don't worry. Okay. Don't worry about a thing. All right. So let's talk about your farm for a minute. Now, I don't have time to go into farming because we'd be here all day. In fact, I have a multi-hour masterclass that I did with the coaching club, just all about farming. Okay. But I'm just going to give you the basics of it. Okay. Your farm should be 500 or more homes. Okay. 500 or more. It should be nearby, like kind of close to where you live, or you're going to not like it if it's too far away. It should be nearby. The pricing of those homes should be commensurate with the kind of income you want to make. You know, what I try to do when I wake up every morning, I say, how can I give myself a raise today? Okay, how can I give myself a raise? And when you start to farming, doing farming, you give yourself a raise because you could farm to the hood. All right. If you want to, you can, or you can farm over here, the good. Oh yeah, those houses over there. So the reality is, so it's got to be commensurate with your price. And then I like that farm to have a 7% turn. Okay, about a 7% turn over. That means about 7% of the homes in that area or in that farm area do sell every year. And so the reality is, if those four criteria are met, okay, then you probably have a rockin' farm. Now, if it's a buyer's market like it is now, you might not have your 7% turn. Okay, so like for example, if you have a 1,000 home farm, I want to see at least 70 homes a year out of that, area that sell, per year. That's a rockin' farm, because ultimately the goal, if you follow the formula, the goal is going to be to have a 20% market share. And I've had many farms that I've had 50% market share in, which many say is unhealthy, but I was okay with it. Have to listen to our mind. But even if you had a 20% market share, if you had a 1,000 home farm, okay, and you had 7% of those homes sell a year, that's 70 homes, and you got 20% of those, how many listings would you get per year?
14.
Okay. You got it. All right. I love you. 14. All right. So that's one a month right there. Okay. Just from farming. And by the way, when you farm, people say, well, what is farming? I tried sending out postcards. It didn't work. Well, farming is not sending postcards. That's not what farming is. Farming is running for mayor of an area. And if you want to know what running for mayor looks like, just look at somebody that's run a mayoral campaign. That's what running a real farming looks like. Okay. And it's too much to go into at this time because we don't have time for it. But that's kind of like a big picture view. Let me show you quickly how to send your postcards out for free. I use Every Door Direct Mail, EDDM, Every Door Direct Mail through the U.S. Postal Service. It's 20 cents a house. You identify which houses, it's 20 cents a house on that route. Okay. Now you go back to your landscaper, your handyman, okay, your carpet cleaner, and your home cleaner, and you say, look, now guess what? I got 1,000 houses. This is my hood. This is my area. Okay, I got 1,000. I'm running for mayor up in here, and I got 1,000 homes over there. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, over there. Not over here, over there, 800 plus. You know what I'm talking about. Now, how would you like to be the preferred painter? Oh, you don't want to do it? Okay, next. All right. How would you like to be? Oh, you want to be the preferred painter. Okay, all right, let's go. Now, look at what it costs you. You're in for about $250 because it's 20 cents a house times 1,000. That's 200 bucks. You pay $50 for the postcards. You're now in for 250, and each of these people is paying you 75 bucks to be on the back of your postcard going to 1,000 houses in that area. $75. Sign me up today. All right. Because I know what a painter makes. A painter on one paint job, they get one paint job that year, they will pay for your program for the next 10 years. Okay. It's done. All right. So the reality is you could do that every month, or you could do it every other month. Okay. Or if you want to be real stingy, you could do it quarterly. I like to go every other month because psychologically, those of us that study branding and marketing, we know psychologically, if you hit somebody every other month, it has the same psychological effect as if they're being hit every month. Okay. So you can save that way a little bit, but now you're not paying for your postcards either. Okay. So another strategy that's a free strategy from Uncle Knolly. All right. Only because I love you. Farming is really about growing where you're planted. Okay. That's what it is. Grow where you're planted. Now, the third bucket is your niche. And in some states, they like to call it niche. Okay. New York and some of those areas. I was born in New York, so I'm not hating, but up in Texas, we call it niche because you got a niche to get rich. What's your specialty? What sets you apart? what do you offer that most of the other agents in our Zoom room here don't? Okay. And here's another one. Why should a client use you versus another agent in your market? When you have a niche, it actually answers that question. Okay. We're going to get into this. I'm going to show you sort of like 8 different strategies. Some of those will be niches. I'm going to show you those in a minute. But when you put all 3 of these together, okay, it's not like you're doing one or the other. You're doing all 3. All right. And by the way, you can do this with 2 hours a day. I'm going to show you that in a minute. So, talking about 6 to 10 listings a month, people always ask me now, and by the way, you don't have to take 6 listings a month. You don't have to take 10. Just 1 listing a month, we already talked about, can rock your world, okay? But when you see a mega agent that's doing 6 a month, this is what's really happening behind the scenes. They're doing 3 from their SOI, 2 from their farm, and they got a niche somewhere where they're doing another one, okay? If you see a person like Knolly Williams doing 10 deals a month, listings, I'm doing 5 from my SOI. I got 3 coming in from my farm, and I got 2 coming in from my niche. That's how we're doing it. And a lot of times you're like, well, how in the world is it getting all those listings? Well, this is it. I'm unmasking it for you. It's just really that simple. Okay. And next, people always ask me, man, Knolly, I want to know what's the 8, like where should, okay, I get it. I get it. These are the 3 buckets. Where should I be pouring my focus? Okay. Well, I'm going to show you some strategies and some areas right now. Okay. Number 1, you should be implementing the trial listing right now. Okay. By the way, I'm going to spend only about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes on this because I've got more material to cover and I want to get to Q&A. I've got a lot of training and some of the training that you're going to have in the 5-hour masterclass and the 5-week the 5-week crash course, I should say. I'm going to break all this down for you. We're not going to do it here because we don't want to keep you all day. But a trial listing is a great strategy. So whenever I have somebody that's on the fence, I'm probably going to talk to one this afternoon, talk to 2 last week that are on the fence. Okay, what does that mean? Not only, I'm thinking about selling, but I just don't know. This market right now, the election just happened. I'm not, I think the market might crash. Things might happen. Okay, here, hold on, Vivian. I think I understand what you're saying. What you're telling me is, Knolly, I kind of want to list the house, but I'm just not sure. I really don't want a long-term commitment. Man, I just don't know which way to go. Well, Vivian, why don't we just do a trial listing? Now, what's Vivian going to tell me? What's a trial listing? I've never suggested a trial listing without somebody. In fact, maybe you're asking me the same question right now. Knolly, what's a trial listing? Okay. Well, a trial, I say, well, Vivian, oh, you don't know. This is how I always do it. Oh, Vivian, you don't know about a trial listing? Oh, well, a trial listing, Vivian, is when we take your property, I take your house, and I put it on the market for 15 days. We just do a trial, maybe 30 days. No long-term commitments, all that kind of stuff. Now, when the market was really, really hopping, I would do a 7-day trial. And I had one that I did was a 4-day trial. You can't do that now. Okay, but remember back, some of you guys remember back when homes you'd put them on the market on a Friday and they'd be multiple offers by Sunday. Remember that, right? Some of y'all remember that. Yeah, it's coming back, by the way. It's coming back. So back then I would do a 7-day listing. And people were like, what in the world are you doing? I was like, man, I'm listing your house for 7 days. All right. Now, don't drive your broker crazy. Okay. It's going to be a standard listing agreement. It's 6 months. So I tell Vivian, I said, hey, here's the listing paperwork. Now, you'll notice because we have I'm at EXP, the #1 brokerage in America, and we have certain protocols. So it is a 6-month listing, Vivian. Okay, it's a 6-month. You see, it starts here, it starts April 2nd, and it goes 6 months out, right? You see that, right? Now, but look at this paragraph over here. Seller may terminate this listing at any point after 30 days. That's where we get your trial listing there, Vivian. We're going to get your 30-day trial. Now, it's a strategy that anybody can implement. It's something that many of you are probably doing already in terms of letting people have an easy exit strategy, but it's just another way of positioning it. Positioning it. Okay. And so if that makes sense. And so for clarity, I'm not telling you to take a 7-day listing or a 30-day listing. I'm saying that you can do a trial listing. By the way, here's the cool thing. I've never had a seller that's in trial come back and cancel ever. Okay. It's never happened. Because once we get their house on the market, they start getting shown. We start doing open houses and they're in flow. So they're like, so I'm like, hey, Vivian, it's been 30 days. I hadn't gotten your home sold. Most of the time I don't bring it up, right? But if I did, it'd be like, Vivian, we still haven't gotten it sold. And she's like, nah, we already have 4 showings. We got the open house coming up next weekend. No, let's just let it ride. Okay. Because they're already in flow. It's a way to get sellers to ease them off the fence and get them in flow. The rest of these, I'm going to go very quickly because most of these you guys know. The trial listing, by the way, is a brilliant strategy that I pioneered. I kind of, another buddy of mine, Jacob Swodak, kind of shared it with me, and I just kind of grabbed it and, nullified it. All right. So pre-NODs is another one. That's pre-notice of defaults. Anybody that's ever missed one payment, 30 days late, there's places that you can go. You can subscribe, get those lists. And if you have the right scripts, okay, you got to call them a certain way, then you can grab a lot of listings because the research has been done. And when a person misses one mortgage payment, that means they're 30 days late once, they're 50% likely to end up in foreclosure, 50%. So half of those people need to sell, okay, the pre-NODs. Old expires is another one. That's another great source of listings right now. It's people whose homes went off the market, 2-3 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and they never relisted. Okay, you can subscribe to certain services that will tell you who those old expireds are and identify them, and you can start working that list. Your sphere of influence, we already talked about that. So you want to start digging into it right now. Probate is another one. I got a probate listing a couple weeks ago from another agent. Says, Knolly, I know you do a lot of probate. We got, this lady just lost her son, and so the mom flew up from Chicago, and her son passed away, and now the home has to be sold. If you understand the probate process and how to work with those attorneys, you can get a lot of business. By the way, did you guys know? You may know this already, that there's 3 different kinds of sellers. Okay, this is not in the material, but I want to kind of throw it out. And I see the chat is blowing up, but I want to throw it in. There's 3 kind of sellers. I'm explaining to you what they are very briefly. Number one, there's sellers that want to sell. Man, Nolly, I want to sell my house. That's one kind of seller. There's sellers that, and we see a lot of them right now, right? There's sellers that need to sell. Man, Nolly, I need to sell my house, man. I need to sell it. And then there's a third kind of seller. Some of y'all know. Jeff already knows what the third kind of seller. Those people that have to sell. Man, Nolly, I have to sell my house. My son just passed away. I got to sell it. I live in Chicago. We got to liquidate the property. Okay, you have to sell. All right. So I like working with have to sales. Another one is Jeff got it in there. The 3. Now another one is divorce. I don't know if you guys have heard that 6 out of 10 marriages are ending in divorce. About 6 out of 10. It's almost at 60% now. So it's almost to the point where you can go to a wedding and market for business because in a few years. No, don't do that. Okay, don't do that. No, but divorce is a big one. If in the divorce decree, they say that the real property has to be liquidated, they got to sell. They have to sell. There's no, probate. Uncle Johnny, he's gone. Okay, he graduated. All right, we got to sell the house. All right, and those are the ones that I really like in a market like this. Okay. In the seller's market, I take them all. Okay. Circle prospecting is another really, really good one. We don't have time to really go into, I have all kinds of trainings on this, but circle prospecting is really a strategy where once you have a house on the market, you go to, 20, 30 homes in that, or 50 homes around that listing. And you basically say, hey, we just listed the one over on 123 Hickory, and we're going to start getting a lot of traffic. Do you know anybody else that's looking to sell right now? Because that's a 1 story, and we might get people looking for 2 stories. Now, once it's under contract, you go around, and I used to love it when we had multiple offers. You'd go around in the neighborhood, you'd have, a stack of offers with you. You'd never show the offers, but you say, hey, I got 3 offers here on that house. You know that house. Yeah, 123 Hickory. Yeah, you know that house. I got 3 offers on it. And that means that there's buyers still looking, and they're ready to buy today, like now. All right. Because I got 2 people that didn't win the bid on this. So who do you know that's ready to sell right now? Oh, you do? Oh, you're thinking about selling. Oh, but you're not sure. Oh, okay. Well, why don't we just do a trial listing? Well, what's that? Oh, let me share with you what a trial listing is. Okay. You see, here's the thing. Listings should have babies. Listings have babies. Okay. So one listing, if you properly market it, you could have 2, 3, or 4 closings with every listing you take. Okay. When you follow the Uncle Knolly method, okay, what I teach. And then off the market listings. There's a lot of listings right now that are off the market that are, you know, and it could be FISBOs and other things, but some of them are just people that are renting their property. I had a neighbor in my neighborhood, Chris. He was like, man, I'm thinking of, well, actually, I talked to the tenant because I got to know them. And Chris moved away. He put the house for rent, got some great tenants. They were in there for years. And then they were like, hey, we're moving. I was like, well, what's Chris going to do with the house? Oh, he's going to put it back for rent. I was like, okay, let me call Chris. I said, hey, Chris, what you doing with the house, man? He said, man, I'm putting it back for rent. I said, have you looked at what houses are selling for in that neighborhood? He said, no, I never looked at it, but I want to keep it as an investment. I said, well, let me run the numbers, Chris. And just for grants, are you even a little bit curious about what your home is worth? Oh, yeah, I'm a little curious about it. Okay, no problem. Let me run the numbers. I'll send them to you. I sent Chris the numbers. Guess what Chris did? He called me, Knolly, let's sell. All right, let's go. All right. So that's, and if he was on the fence, we do a trial. Okay. So that's 8 strategies. When you look at, and by the way, some of you, I want you to just throw it in the chat because we're gonna shatter some myths here in a minute. Throw in the chat, and this is family. Okay. We're not going to share your numbers with the world, nothing like that. Throw in the chat how much you would like to make a year. Okay. And this is not a competition. Like, don't just between you and God. Okay. And just throw it in. What would you like to make per year with a listing business? Okay. Because some of you have never had 6 figures. By the way, Jeff, I had a gal, I was at a seminar once, and I had a gal, she told me, she said, man, Knolly, I want to make, I told her, how many deals you want to do? She says, I want to do 120 deals a year. Now, you know why she said that? Because we were in class. All right. You know, and she wanted to shine. And that's okay. I let people shine. I like to let people shine. But I said, well, okay. You know, I'm your coach. Okay. So what did you do in your best year? You've been in business 20, oh yeah, 24 years. Okay. And she had been in business 24 years. It was in Sacramento. She said, my best year, I did 32 deals. I said, okay, you've been in business 20 some years. You did 32 deals your best year. And now Uncle Knolly, is there an S on my chest somewhere? I don't see one. I mean, do I have a cape? I don't see a cape on my back, but God help you. Look, I can take you from 30 to 60. Let's try that. Then we'll go to 60 to 100. Then we'll go 100 plus. All right. Now you might do 150 your first year. Okay. You know, working with the listing program, but don't go crazy on Uncle Knolly just because okay. So somebody says I'd be happy with 80K. Okay. But 250, 500. I got a couple of people to play. Oh, look at this. He did a quiz. What's up? I like quizzes. All right. Pop quiz. All right. Just throw it in there. I'm going to answer it from myself here. Boom. Submit. All right. So we got a pop quiz going. While we do that, I want to show you something. And this can keep it anonymous. I like that. I like how you did that. Jeff don't play around, boy.
Let's go.
I'm gonna have to come back. Okay. So let me we're gonna finish up. We got about 5 more minutes of me. Maybe we'll take about 8 more minutes and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So let's go to, I'm gonna go right over to here. Where was I at? See, I closed the window. Now I'm finding it. All right, so let's go to here. All right. So, all right. Now, what I want to bust some myths because look at Patrick Kelly. He's in the Knolly Coaching Club. He's a lister. He learned how to list. I've been working with him. Last year he did a $7.2 million listing. All right, 7.2, and guess what he earned? 216,000 in one deal. This works. It doesn't matter what price range. Okay. So somebody said, hey, I want to do 6 figures. Now I want to make 100,000 a year. How would you like it to do it in one deal? Patrick did. Okay. How about Tony? Look, she did a $4.3 million listing last year. She's a coaching club member. She earned $129,000 in one. I saw the CDA. Okay. That electronic wire was 6 figures. All right, how'd you like to do that? How'd you like to cap in one transaction? Okay, so don't think that you got to give it all to the store. All these people here that you see on this list, they're all earning $250,000 or more a year, all of them. Okay, and they're all in the part of my Knolly Coaching Club. But the thing is, what they're focused on and what we focus on is listing. That's where I want you to be. Okay, what I want you to do now is I want you to start focusing on these 5 actions to upgrade your success with listings. There's 5 actions. Okay, we're going to go through them quickly because they really don't take a lot of time and they're very simple. Very simple. Okay. The first one, and I'm going to go in reverse order. Okay, from 5, like those top 10 lists that go down. It's the top 5 list that goes down. Number 5, lead generate according to your personality profile. Every single one of you, you're listening to the sound of my voice, you have a very unique and specific personality. Okay. And I want you to wrap your business, your life, and all your lead generation around that. Uncle Knolly, guess what Uncle Knolly is? I was the shyest kid in school. Okay. Partly because I was abused at home and also because of my speech problem, my speech impediment. Okay. And every once in a while, I'll catch myself with a speech impediment that comes back because that limiting belief sometimes is still there. Okay. And people are like, man, I don't know what you're saying. I say, you know how I started mumbling at the end? He was like, no, I don't hear that. Well, but I can hear it. Okay. Just because that's something I struggled with in the past. And that's the reason why I've never made a cold call. Let me say it again. Took over 1,000 listings and I never made a cold call. Even with my, I have a masterclass that I taught with a coaching club, and it was 2 hours where I taught them how to do physicals and expireds. And the way I did mine was I never called them. I did postcards and email, postcards and letters, postcards and letters. I had a postcard and letter campaign, and I was doing 50, 60, 70 listings a year just with expireds through that strategy. Okay. There's a lot to unpack there, but you'll kind of understand if you understand how expireds are. 70%, let me just throw this out to you just so you'll know. According to RedX, the #1 aggregator of expired data, they say that 70% of sellers will not relist their home within the first 30 days. Okay, so all the agents that are going after the expireds in the first 30 days, that's like a red ocean, right? It's like shark. It's like throwing a steak into a shark tank. But then there's 70% of them that will wait 30 days. And guess what most agents don't do? They don't follow up after 30 days. So I would only do my campaign to people that were 30 days, had basically expired 30 days, or more. So it was a whole strategy that I had. And it was just so I didn't have to talk to people on the phone because it scared me to death to make phone calls. I don't do cold calling. I just don't do it. And so I've never made a cold call yet. And that's just part of my personality. I'm shy. I'm an introvert. And that's that's who I am. Okay. So a lot of times what you'll do is you'll try to be like somebody else so that you can have success. Now I have a lot of coaching club members that do cold calls, and they teach it. I even help teach it. Okay. But I don't do it because it's not part of my personality profile. If you're a high D, you should be on the phone banging them out. Okay. So it just depends on who you are. You got to understand who you are. You could take the DISC test, the passion test, the genius test, and there's Myers-Briggs, there's a whole bunch of them, but just understand who you are. And most of you have already done that, but now you want to apply that to how you run your business. Only do the things that are in your sweet spot. Okay. In terms of how you market and how you promote and how you generate business. Number 4 is you've got to become famous. You should be famous in the areas that you serve. Everybody should know who you are in the areas that you serve. There is no merit in you being a secret agent. Okay. It doesn't add any value to yourself or the God you serve to be hiding from your prospects. Okay. Everybody should know who you are. That's very, very important. And number 3 is, you already know, is you got to shift your mindset to listings. That's how you should think. That's how you should breathe. That's how you should act every single day is, where's my next listing? I'm a lister. I'm a listing specialist. That's what I do. The listings is the game. Number 2, you got to do the 2. That's lead gen and appointments. Lead gen and appointments, 2 hours a day. And you do that 4 days a week. I call it a 2x4. Okay. I used to teach my coaching members to lead generate 5 days a week, 3 hours a day. But what I found, and through science, we discovered that you can actually do an activity. Like, for example, if I told you you had 4 hours to do something, you would do it in 4 hours. But if I told you you had 2 hours to do it, you would do it in two. Okay. So it's scientifically, if you actually give yourself 2 hours every morning to lead generate, you're going to bang it out. You're going to bang it out. And then you do a hard stop. Okay. And then you lead generate according to your personality profile so that you don't hit burnout. Okay. Very, very important. How many of you have ever gone out of town and you had to, you did like 2 or 3 days worth of work on the day before you left out of town? It's actually a principle. It's a scientific principle that I've studied over and over again. There's a name for it. And as well, it's called Parkinson's Law. Don't go look it up, but it's called Parkinson's Law. And it's basically, if I give you 2 hours a day to lead generate, you're going to do 4 or 5 hours of lead generation in 2 hours. Okay. Because your brain is automatically going to cut out all the little stuff, the trips to the coffee pot, all that kind of stuff. You hit your lead generation bunker and you don't come out of it until you have, made X number of calls, if that's what you're doing, or sent out so many postcards or letters, or you've done whatever. By the way, cold calling is not calling your sphere of influence. Okay. I call people that love me, I call them all the time. All right. So number one, you got to hire a listings coach. Okay. I'm for hire. If any you guys want to hire me, I love teaching, training, and coaching you in the listings game. And if you look at, for example, Susie Floyd, she retired as a nurse. She made $40,000 in her first year in real estate, 40K. That's not bad as a retired nurse. But then she joined us at the coaching club, and guess what? She made 300K her first year. Okay. She's only been in business 2 years. Her first year, she made 40K. Her next year, she made 300. All right. Because she's implementing what I teach, or she's doing what I say. All right. So how do you get access to the crash course? It's 5 weeks. Okay. Now you can complete it in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. It's completely up to you. Don't go there now, but it's knollycoaching.com. Okay. Knollycoaching.com. If you decide to stay, okay, yeah, it's $97 a month. All right. Those of you that coach with me, there might be some on the call right now. I charge $2,500 a month for one-on-one coaching. All right. A lot of people don't have that kind of money. All right. Raise your hand if you have $2,500 a month to hire me. Don't raise your hand. I'm just kidding. But I said, well, let me open it up for everybody. You get the same kind of coaching same stuff I'm going to tell you if it's one-on-one. I'm going to tell you the same stuff, but it's more expensive one-on-one. So because it's a group, we can do it like that. So for 7 days, you jump in, you can take the crash course, take it in 2, 3, 4 days, get to know the community. We share referrals together. We do all kinds of stuff together as a group. And if you love it, you stay. If you don't, you leave. Okay. It's a 7-day trial. Your credit card is not charged. Okay. There's 7 days. If you cancel on day 6, you just get the training. Okay. It's 5 hours of stuff like we've been going through today. Okay. You take the whole training course, and as my free gift to you, you get to download my book, Success with Listings. You don't have to go to Amazon and buy it. And that's a 340-page textbook on how to get listings. You can keep that forever just for doing a test drive. That's at Knolly Coaching. So with that, I really want to open it up for questions. This is what we learned, the 3 lead buckets, the 8 key sources, and the 5 actions that you want to take right now. Homework, check out Knolly Coaching, and see, get more training, because probably I'm going to guess that for many of you, everything that I've said has probably brought up even more questions. Like, okay, now I got even more questions. So with that, I'm gonna kick it back to my main man, Jeff.
What's up, buddy? Oh my gosh. You were tearing it up. And I took so many notes. And I have to say, by the way, one of my favorite things about doing trainings like this with other amazing hitters like you, man, and this was incredible, is I always take so much away. I'm sitting over here, guys. I'm like, my fingers are bleeding because I'm trying to take notes so fast. And then I'm just cutting and pasting them out of my notes app, so that everybody can kind of share, maybe cut and paste their own stuff. But Knolly, this is incredible. And for anyone who, by the way, yes, is this a sales pitch? Absolutely. By the way, listen, hire a coach. My number one thing that I did my first year in real estate, second year in real estate, third year in real estate, right? We scaled. had a coach,
Same.
had a coach, had a
Same.
actually I had three coaches my third year, right?
Same.
And that's
Yeah.
when we went to big numbers, all the stuff people talk about. And
Yeah.
so guess what though? Does it make a difference? Yes. And would I invite Knolly if I didn't trust him? Not a chance, by the way. This is a
Yeah.
man with a pure heart. He's a wonderful human being. His wife is incredible. Like absolutely, these people will take the shirt off their back and help anybody. And I have to just I want to put that out there just so you guys don't think, oh, it's just a sales pitch. Also, we're not doing some profit sharing thing. I'm positioning this because I want to see people be successful. I
Right.
want to connect you with the right people in the industry, not the people who are out there being scumbags, copying some crap they learned on ChatGPT that they've never done before and trying to teach
Yeah.
it to you for $1,000 or 2,000, 500,000. I've seen people charging $10,000 a month. I'm like,
Yeah.
what in the world? That's
You
for
know,
like flipping.
it's funny too, Jeff, that the more successful you get, the coaches they start costing more.
Yeah.
Because like now I have, three coaches and
Yep.
I pay a lot of money in coaching. And I got my first coach when I was 8 months in the business and I could not afford a coach. I'm gonna tell you, I couldn't afford it. Even though I was doing numbers, but I mean, you know how it is. I mean, who wants to pay 1,000 a month? I don't. And so, but I said, I just got to do this. Went to a Mike Ferry. You know how it is, right?
Yeah.
I got to do it. So I hired my coach, and what she told me, she said, Nolly, how many deals do you want to do? I said, I'll be happy doing 20 deals a year. That would exceed my expectation. And what she told me, she said, Nolly, let me tell you something. If you did 100 deals a year, you'll work half as much as if you did 20. And I didn't
Yep.
understand it at the time. It didn't make any sense, Jeff. But I knew that she knew what she was talking about. I was paying her $1,000 a month.
Yep.
I mean, I had to go consult Uncle Visa and my cousin MasterCard. But hey, if I didn't have a coach my first year in the business, there's no way I would even be sitting in front of
Yeah.
you right
You
now.
know, not only my coaching was paid for me by Capital One. It was incredible. I
Wow.
had to give him the money back.
Oh yeah, I
eventually.
like that. I like
Yeah, it was
that.
great. I was like, oh yeah, you guys got the money. That's perfect.
Let's
I need the
go. Let's
coach. You got
go.
the money. Let's
Yeah.
do it. It's a JV,
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's
All right.
incredible. So let's do some questions. So if you guys have a question, put your hand up or just unmute. We'll bring you up on Spotlight and let you chat here. This is a perfect opportunity to talk to one of the leaders in the industry who really does this at an incredibly high level, guys. Somebody jump in here, though. Don't make us wait. I'm going to cut
Jump
this out.
in.
There's Joanne. What's up? Joanne Graham out in Oregon. What's up?
Oregon. Last
So
time I was in Oregon, we went to that Cannon Beach and it was cold water.
cold
We
and
like
rugged
warm water,
Oregon coast. Yeah.
but it was really beautiful.
People don't know what beach means in Oregon until they get here. Okay. So here's my big question. So I hear about, like you were saying, if you just did two things, you would get appointments and go to the appointments, right? But then who does all the rest of the work? Like I always feel
Yeah.
like that, then you get the
Yeah.
listing, some shit has to happen, right? Like, so
Yeah.
who's doing all that when you've got all of this, I see what, the top agent in the county is basically what she does. She runs around getting contracts signed. Like that's her
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
who services the client in a way that they feel cared for and they can trust you and all that? Because I feel like I want to do that.
Let me do this real quick. I'm going to implode a self-limiting belief. It's one that I had as well. I was in 2017. I'm going to answer your question, but first I want to talk about a self-limiting belief that those that don't have leverage, a lot of times we have that, myself included. I got on a plane to go to Funnel Hacking Live. This was in 2017. Okay. And that year, I think the year before, I had done like 153 deals as a solo agent, have 4 full-time admin people that do all the stuff that you're talking about. By the way, there's 46 steps on a listing. I'm just going to throw this in there. I'm going to go back to my story. Joanne, there's 46 steps in a listing. And I have the 46-step system. All that stuff is in there. You can download it. So step 1 is generate the lead, and step 40 is to close, or 6 steps after closing. How many of those steps do you think require a license? Just going to throw that out there.
I don't know, 5.
It's about 3 to 5. Now, if why would only 3 to 5 steps require a license? It's because we're not supposed to be doing except those. I mean, it's common sense, right? If it doesn't require a license, why are you doing it? Right? That's common sense, right? That just goes back to it. But I'm gonna destroy a belief. So we got on the plane. My wife and I got on the plane to go to Funnel Hacking Live. Those of you that are into click funnels, all that kind of stuff. I'm big into all that stuff. And now I'm into Go High Level. You know, some of y'all know what's up. Jeff knows what's up. So I get on this plane, and this guy, I'm sitting in the aisle seat. My wife's sitting in the middle seat, and this guy's sitting at the window seat. And he kept looking at me. And he looked away, look again, look away. Look, I was like, man, what's going on with this dude? Like, he's kind of tripping, like, you know, because I'm from, you know, I grew up in LA, so sometimes that comes out a little bit. And so I
gotta get my charger so my computer doesn't die. Keep talking.
yeah. So the guy looks at me. Finally, he just couldn't stop. He said, man, are you in real estate? I said, yes, sir, I am. I said, he says, is your name Knolly Williams? I said, yes, sir, that's my name. He said, dude, you sold my house. I said, pleased to meet you. And I reached over the aisle and shook his hand. First time I ever met this dude, okay? And I said, man, his name is Horatio, okay? I said, Horatio, pleased to meet you. And we had a great conversation. We had a great time at Funnel Hacking Live, but I'd never met the guy. So when we got off the plane, here's what I did. I said, man, let me talk to this guy because, you know, the last 300 homes that I've sold, I've never seen. I believe that homes don't have to be seen to be sold. That's a fact. And so we went into the baggage claim. I saw him in the baggage claim. My wife was like, do a video with him. I was like, no, I don't want to do no video with. That's weird. She said, do a video with. So I did. It's on YouTube. Okay. I went over to the guy. We didn't script it or anything. Okay. And I said, Horatio, how was it working with me? And he went on and on. I mean, he gave me, if it could have been 100 stars, it would have gave out of 5. He went on and on about how seamless the process was, how great it was working with us, how da 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 da. So finally, my last question, it's like a 4-minute video. I said, Horatio, let me just ask you this question. Do you feel like that if I was involved in the transaction at all, it would have in some way been enhanced or would have been some way better to have me involved in it? And you know what he did? You could watch the video and you'll see he looked away like this. Now, this is where you got to be real humble. Those of us that have an ego like I do, you got to get real humble because he looked away and he said, he was like thinking, like trying to figure out what could have been better. And he looked me in the eye on the video. It's out on YouTube. And he said, Knolly, I can't imagine how the transaction could have been better. I can't think of a single way that we could have had a better outcome than we had. Okay. So this is, Joanne, when you have a well-oiled machine, it's the difference between having a machine and having a workaholic hustle and drive. And a lot of times we like to do that. I know I did. I did it for 10 years. I worked 100 hours a week. And I did that for 10 years because I thought that but people don't care. It's like, have you ever gone to JCPenney? Hey, where's JC? I need JC to sell me a suit. If JC's not going to service me, I'm not going to buy. They'll laugh you out of the place. What I do with my clients, Joanne, is I sit down with them when I'm at the listing appointment. If we do it on the Zoom, which I do most of them, or we do it in the house, and I say, now, Joanne, we just signed the listing paperwork. Now, I only do it after we signed, okay? We just signed the listing paperwork. I'm kind of sad right now. She's like, Knolly, what you sad about? Well, I'm not going to see you again. And they're like, what do you mean you're not going to see me? Oh, well, you know how, you haven't looked at, because if they've looked at my operation, they already know, okay? So I say, well, Joanne, and I'm going to ask you, Joanne, have you ever been on an airplane?
Yes.
You
yes,
have.
Joe.
Okay.
Yes,
now,
Joe.
do you remember, you're too young for this, Joanne. You don't remember this, I'm sure. You're too young. But back in the day, when you first got on the airplane, who was the first person you met when you got on? Just guess.
The pilot.
The pilot. The captain. First person you met. Now, when you got off the plane, who was the last person you saw?
Pilot. The
pilot. Now, Joanne, let me ask you a question. Did you see the pilot during the flight?
No.
I mean, he might have.
But I knew he was flying.
I get it. He might have taken a potty break. I get that. But did he bring you peanuts, maybe a pillow, a blanket? Maybe he brought you a soda or maybe even an adult beverage. The pilot did that, right? Never. How would you feel if you saw the pilot during the flight handing out peanuts?
Aren't you supposed to be like flying this thing?
Joanne, let me explain something to you. Right now, you just signed with me. We're taking this bird to Seoul. That's our destination, right? We're going to Seoul. That's where we're going to land. I'm in the cockpit, Joanne. You're not going to see me. But make no mistake about it. The captain is in the cockpit the entire time. I'm there the whole time. But during the flight, Joanne, my team's going to handle all the details. I mean, every detail. You need this, you need that. My team handles it all. And and they know what they're doing. Okay. Now you're going to see me at the beginning of the flight, like now, and you're going to see me at the end, at the closing table. But during the transaction, you're not going to see me. And so when they understand that, Joanne, and here's the thing, a seller will do anything you tell them to do if they understand why they're doing it. Okay. So now to go back to your question, who's doing what? I actually have a color-coded chart where I basically, on my 46-step system, okay, that's in the book. You just download the book, you'll get the whole 46 steps. It's a checklist. And I teach you all the 46 steps in there. And I color code who on my team is going to do what. Okay. So if it's administrative, that means it doesn't require a license. It's going to be done by a TC or an admin. Okay. If it requires a license, it's going to be done by my licensed assistant. So when I have an assistant, I'll have one of them, like I do now, that I pay for them to get their license, just because there's some activities that do require a license, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's it. I mean, and once you start doing business that way, and the Rockstar Ricks on here that know what I'm talking about, you actually will have clients.
Rockstar Rick right there. I'm just
okay.
telling
We got all right. Your clients will actually have a better. Oh, you got Rockstar Rick in the house. So
yeah. So I just told him. I said, "You're my licensed assistant." Because I thought it was Rockstar Rick.
Well, and then here's the thing: you don't want to. You can make a cheap hire, but you don't want to make a desperation hire. You know what a desperation hire is, Joanne?
Yeah, anybody will do.
I'm overwhelmed. I need somebody now. Okay. So you want to hire them according to their personality profile. They gotta, because otherwise, see, when I give somebody all the stuff that I don't want to do, guess what I'm doing? I'm giving them everything I hate doing. Okay. But now they're not going to hate it. Why? Because I hire a profile that loves doing all that stuff.
Exactly.
A high C, a high S, right? They're going to be like, Knolly, give it to me, give it. And you think that you're burdening them, but actually they're like, it's like candy to them. Now you tell them to go on a listing appointment. Oh, they cringe. You see what I'm saying? So you hire the opposite of you, and you might have married the opposite of you. So you might be fine. Okay. Most people, they say, well, I'm going to hire somebody just like me. Now we got two people not getting anything done.
Right.
See, right? You hire the opposite of you. So yeah, it's very simple when you understand who does what. And I have actually color coded charts of who's going to do what, but it's all based on their personality profile. I profile all my people, and sometimes the file looks like it's going back and forth from one person to another, depending on what profile they are. Like this person might key in the listing, but this other person might, schedule the photos, things like that. So
love it.
Yeah.
I see that Tammy has her hand up. I'm going to bring her up on stage.
Tammy,
Hey,
what's up?
Tammy,
I know we took a lot of
what's
time with
up?
Joanne, but that's a big question I want to unpack a little bit.
So Knolly, I think you hit it on the head there. 20 transactions to some agents feels like 1,000, and 50 to me felt like 1,000 last year.
Yeah.
So when people come to me and say, don't you want to be number one in your market? Absolutely not.
No.
I can't imagine doing the volume that some other agents do, because to me right now, it means more of that hustle, the overwhelm and that kind of stuff. So,
Wow. Yeah.
So-
No, I get it. And everybody has their number. So like for me, going from like 150 to 400 would be like, whoa. And even though I teach that I've never paid for a lead. I've never paid for a lead. Now I don't teach agents not to. If you want to pay for leads, that's
Right.
fine. I just never have. And so I wouldn't see that you would need to pay for a lead outside of the 3 buckets until you started doing over 100 a year. Then you might have to start buying leads, because the game changes a little. So yeah, I get it. There's going to be a number for everybody.
well, my point is that when you have your systems in place, then likely those numbers don't seem as scary.
At all.
And
At all.
and I feel like I'm really good with people liking and trusting me and working with me, but that whole back end of everything else can be such a mess. So
Here, let me just throw this out, Tammy, as a concept for you to understand. So Hershey's Chocolate Company, okay, once they built the factory, they're not overwhelmed when somebody comes in and says, we need 100,000 bars
Right.
and we need them by next Wednesday. Oh, we just got to run another crew. We already got the machineries in place. It's just like stamping out candy bars. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And when you have a rocking listing business like the kind of business like I put together, and I'm not bragging on myself, I'm just saying that's my profile. You know, I think like an engineer. I'm high on the SC
I do
scale.
not.
I'm very low on the D scale. So I'm not a driver at all. Okay. So guess what? I hire Ds and have them getting stuff done, right? But the reality is if you're not doing all that stuff, then who cares? Right? Like you're not stamping out the chocolate bars, you're just taking the order.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're not working in the factory.
So your system and your coaching helps with the systems and the back
Yeah, I mean,
end that is.
So McGraw-Hill hired me to write a book that documents my system. It's called 3 Hours a Day. It's on McGraw-Hill. It was released last year. So you can read all about it. A lot of times people are like, man, I read it, but I need you to teach me. And so that's why I started the coaching club.
Right.
So if you just want to, you just buy the book, it's $20. You know what I'm saying? So, but the truth of it is how do you systematize your business so that you can have a life? And I actually unpack it there. That's one of the biggest things that I do. How do you build a factory? Because I guarantee you, this is a fact, Tammy. If you flew me in, okay, and you had me there for 6 to 8 months in your business, I could build it out for you. Okay. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out as a not as an invitation because it's not something I do. I'm just saying, just for you to concept, like you could fly somebody in to do this for you and they'd set the whole thing up. And then you'd be like, sure, if somebody sets it up for me, it's fine. But in reality, all you have to do is if you hire the right VA, you can actually have them set this up for you. Okay. All of my VAs are degreed. They have more education than I do, and they're very good at what I need them to be good at. And they suck at the things that I'm good at, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. So doing a better job of hiring your VAs and your people
and training them.
Probably where sometimes though, if you don't have their skill set, you don't know how to tell them.
No, what I do with my VA, let me, and I know we got other people with their hands, but I'm gonna give you a very simple training technique. It's like McDonald's, okay? At McDonald's, it goes from I to we to they versus I do it. That's a solo agent. Then it's like we do it. Okay, now I got some help. We're going to do this stuff together. And then eventually it's they do it. But in reality, when it comes to creating your SOPs, your standard operating procedures or your operations manuals, which is what I actually train people to do is create SOPs. Your VA should be doing that. So if you've got the right personality profile in that position, then all you're doing, like how hard would it be for you, Tammy, to sit down with someone almost like an apprenticeship and then they just shadow you and they just learn everything that you do? Like that's how I wrote my first book. I was doing short sales at the time. And I taught the president of Keller Williams University how to do short sales. She wasn't even licensed. And she just came to my office every day for 3 or 4 hours. And she was like, well, what are you doing there? I said, well, first I'm going to send this out. Well, why would you send that first? Well, I do it that way because of this. And so after 5, 6 weeks of this, she wrote a book. That was my book, but she was the co-author. And because I trained her on my system. So if you train your people correctly, it's going to be painful because it's going to take 2 or 3 or 4 weeks or 5 weeks, but then they create the operations manual, not you. Why would you create operations manual? It's like people tell me all the time, well, I want to create the manual first. And then why would you do that? Just teach them and have them create it. It can only work in reverse order because otherwise you'll never create the manual and you'll never hire anybody. If that makes sense.
Bingo.
Yeah.
All right. So we got time for, I think, one more. Tyler,
One
I'm gonna
more.
pull you up here, Tammy. That was awesome. All right. Tyler, out in.
You got me on a roll now, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Go ahead. What's up, Tyler? Good to see you.
First off, thank you so much for everything of coming here and being here. Because every time I see you, I've seen you a few times, and every time I pass you, I give you a hug, and I'm like, that guy's gonna.
Hold on, Tyler. We're gonna rock it. We're gonna rock it like Tyler was for a minute. What's up? All right, go ahead, Tyler.
So
I don't do this for everybody.
So my listing presentation is based off of usually I see 2 of 3 people in the room, and they are both on this call right now. The third person is you. You taught me the $6 listing,
Technique.
close.
Yeah. I
So
learned from being Kenny.
yeah, oh really? That's super funny. I learned from you. But with the NAR Joy,
Mm-hmm.
the $2.50, the 2.5, what is your script now?
So now, see, with NAR gave me as a listing specialist a raise. Now, a lot of buyers, a lot of those of you that work with buyers, you're not going to like me right now. Okay, just turn off your audio. So I got a raise. It's one of the best things that ever happened in my listing business, because now when I sit down with a seller, I just say, hey, and by the way, I don't use the form that has the EXP form that has both compensation, because I'm not negotiating for the buyer commission now. I don't do that. Okay, that's just not my job. My job is for you to hire me. Okay, I see it as a different job now. So when I go and sit in front of them, I say, "Hey, Mr. Seller, da da da," da, and I go. And before, what I used to do is when I would sit down with a seller, I would say, "Now I list at 7%, or I list at 8% of sale price, or 7% of sale price, or I can list your home at 6% list price. Let me explain the difference." And I would show them da 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 da, and I say, "Now for your house, what I recommend is let's go with my lowest rate." 6%. Then I would circle the 6%, even though all those rates were articulated in the listing agreement. I would circle the lowest rate, and then I would initial it at 6%. It's called the law of least choice. If you go to an ice cream shop and they say, we got chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla, what do you look like coming up talking about, I want pineapple? Man, you get out of here, man. It's not a choice. So sellers never asked me to do it for 5 because it wasn't one of the choices. It's called the law of least choice. It's all psychology. My mom has a master's degree in psychology, by the way, and I grew up being analyzed. So now you can't do that now. I mean, now I don't do it that way. Now what I do is I say, now, hey, Mr. Seller, hey, Tyler. Now you remember back in the day when I used to charge 8%, 7%, or even 6%. Back in the day, that's what I used to charge as a listing agent. Now for a house like this, I probably could do it for 4%. I'll cut you a break. So then I write the 4% in. I don't have it on there already. I write it down, or I type it on the screen. I say I could do it for 4%. I'd be happy to do that. It's not going to be 6. And then I do that. Now, by the way, every single listing that I take has a $5.95 admin fee. $5.95. We're not even going to get into that because some of you guys are. It's a strategy that I teach. I teach all my students how to do this. I've done it from day one. And it actually pays for my VA. Think about it. You take 100 listings a year and you got $5.95 on every single one. That's $60,000 a year. That pays for my entire VA staff. Okay, so that's a whole nother point. Okay, but it's something that I teach and that I do. Now the seller's happy to get it at 4%. Okay, and so because now they're paying less. Then as we're going through the listing, that's already done. You've taken care of my fee. Now on the next page, we talk about now. When a buyer a buyer agent brings a buyer, they're going to probably want to be compensated. Now, it could be that their agent, like I'm in a deal right now where the buyer agent is actually paying the commission on that deal because of how the numbers float out. But I say they're going to actually they're going to want a commission of some kind. Do you want to negotiate that now, or you want to negotiate it later? Well, how much are they going to want? It's hard to say. Sometimes they ask for, 1.5%, 2%, sometimes 3%. I don't know. But we can negotiate it later if you want, or you can do it now. Okay. And then if the buyer agent comes and they're, and they ask for 2%, well, yeah, guess what? We're back at 6. But I didn't negotiate that from the beginning. And it all has to do with this estimated net sheet anyway, right? So if they're willing to pay more for the house, then we can negotiate that commission back in through the sales price. There's all kinds of strategies. But the reality, use a net sheet. The reality is, Tyler, that I just got a raise. So I went from say a 2.75 or 2.8 average list price to, because a lot of times my past clients I would cut them a break, to now it's over 3.6% average list price. So listing agents got a raise with that ruling. That make sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's go, man.
Yeah.
Pay yourself more money, bro.
Next few years too.
Hey, Tyler, would you be offended if I helped you make more money?
Absolutely. You've already done it once.
Yeah, I'm glad you're using that other strategy though. That used to work very well, by the way.
Oh, it still does.
Yeah.
I mean, it
still does, huh?
It hit home and it hit hard.
Yeah, y'all don't even know what Tyler's talking about. That's a whole nother strategy where sellers will never ask you to cut your commission ever. Do they ever ask you to cut your commission after you show them that strategy?
Oh,
Tyler?
absolutely
Never,
not.
never.
Every one of them signed.
Yeah, and it takes about 3 minutes to do, so it's not even a hard strategy to learn. So, but it's all these little things that, as you know, as we combine them into a system, there's no way when you sit down with a seller and you got this much, you come with this kind of game. Like we say, game recognizes game. When a seller sits down with somebody that's going to list their house, they expect a salesperson to show up because they want you selling. And I sell I look, and sometimes I sell so hard, Tyler, that I mean, it's natural, but they just start smiling because I can tell I'm in flow. And I say, Tyler, I see you smiling right now. You're like, man, this dude, he got me. You're in, right, Tyler? You're already in. I can see you're in. Well, guess what, Tyler? I'm going to do the same thing with buyers. We're going to make sure that this house gets sold. It's going to go for top dollar. That, you know, I'm going to work to get you top dollar. And it's going to take you less time. You know, let's do the right thing right now, Tyler. Let's sign the paperwork. Let's get you your results. And then I stop talking.
Yeah.
Oh, you learned the pin trick. He learned my pin trick too. He learned my pin trick. Yeah. Okay, that's good. The pen sometimes, you know, will fly across the table. I say, no, you can go ahead and keep it. Here's where we need to sign, by the way. Yeah, Tyler knows my tricks. What's up, Jeff? We going over. I know we're going over.
Man, I love it.
Excited,
No, I just want to be respectful to you. And I got to say, what amazing content today. I got to say, I hope more people will reach out. At a bare minimum, guys, go consume this content. I know Knolly's been very generous and given us some freebies today, which is awesome. That's an exclusive for the folks who are here today and watching this on the replay. So want to make sure that you guys get connected, but also do yourself the favor of, whether it's Knolly or someone else that you know about who's even better. I don't know who the heck that would be. You know, find somebody who can help you to really streamline and build that Hershey's chocolate factory so you're not having to go to work and put on your coveralls every day. Because that's really building a business, not building a hustle, not building a grind. When people say, I work so hard, I'm like, are we going to applaud right now? Like, I'm trying to figure out what you're wanting right at this moment, because working hard is not a badge of honor in business. The greatest business owners that any of us have ever heard of do not work 24 hours a day. They're not patting themselves on the back because they aren't there for their kids. I promise you that. I promise you that.
Let me leave everybody with an affirmation.
Yeah.
I choose to make it fun and easy. Okay, that's your new affirmation. I choose to make it fun and easy. Let's go from hustle and grind to ease and flow. I choose to make it fun and easy. And it can be.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, it absolutely should be. And I hope you guys will reach out. Knolly, we're going to have you back. Anything you ever need from Lexi and myself, you know that. And we love you guys. I want to come out and hang out with you in Texas too, because I got to get myself a good cowboy hat.
Hey, you know our house is for sale over there. You know that, right?
What? No way,
Yeah,
man. Heck yeah.
It's under contract. Somebody's going to get a nice place, bro. We did 3 to 4 years. That was our plan. And we did 3. We did almost 3. And that was your plan too, huh? Like, and now we're like, okay, where else in the world are we going next? We're not sure.
I know. Well, it's that freedom thing you were talking about.
Man, I could do my classes from Venice, Italy, bro. I'm good.
Yeah, I think you probably have. Come on.
Yeah. And listing appointments I do from that way too. All right, y'all.
Thanks everybody for being here. Really appreciate it. And hope all of you will reach out to Knolly, get a hold of him. If you need a coach or if you know somebody who does, get them into his program, because that is going to change lives. I know so many people who are like, that's where I turned it around. So let's see what happens next. All right, thanks everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Knolly, always incredible. Bye, guys.
Bro.